Morning team. Today we will discuss part 2 backup controls. These sessions basically I'm preparing to cover what controls auditors to check. So here's the question number 1. Critical backups are not included in the DR drills. What should auditors highlight? So if interviewer asks you the questions, critical backups are not included in the DR drills. DR drill is a process where we shift the complete load of the data centers to our backup site. So, you know how DR drill actually works. So, DR drill, it is a practice exercise where a company tests whether the uh, systems and data can be recovered during a incident or during a disaster such as ransomware attacks, server crash, data center failure, and natural disasters. So, you know how important DR drill is. Now, suppose the company performs DR drills, but they do not test restoration of the critical backups during this exercise. So, what are the major concern here? Auditors to highlight that backup recovery is not actually tested. Okay. Second point is false sense of the security. So, coming back to the number one point, backup recovery not actually tested means means we have backup available in our primary data center, but it was not included in the DR drill. It is a very serious concern because the company is thinking that backup is working, but uh, because yes, because company may think that backups are working because backup job shows and are successful, but during transmission from the data center to the disaster recovery site, it will not work because it was not tested. So tested is a primary exercise to perform the actual. So it is a readiness before you completely doing live. So this is the example. You can say that bank says that daily backup completed successfully, but actual cyber attacks backup restoration failed. So this is the consequences of the backup disaster if not tested successfully. False sense of the security means whoever belongs to this backup team, right? The GRC, the governance risk and compliance team have really they are not aware about the risk because if they are if they are missing the backup recovery, that means they are completely away from the security postures because management is thinking that we are fully protected, but in but, but in reality recovery process may fail. Critical applications may not come online. So this creates the false confidence towards the management. Third risk is auditors to check the business continuity risk. Means if backup is not tested, then it's obviously recovery time may become very long, which is out of SLA, and it will again come with a penalty. Banking payment customer services may stop because RTO is long, and financial losses may occur because of the penalty. If RTO not met, SLA impacted penalty, and because of the penalty, financial losses may occur. DR drill is incomplete because you fail with the backup recovery at the data center site. It is a primary role of the GRC team to reflect the backup from DC to DR. So the purpose of the DR is recover systems, recover applications, and recover data backups. If backup restoration is skipped, entire DR exercise becomes incomplete. Next is a cyber resilience. Resilience means one more additions towards the security. Means a backup means additional uh, uh, additional things available. If first server goes down, then you have the redundancies as a second server. So resilience is the additional control we have. So, this control is saying that, right? Modern attacks like ransomware target backup also if organization never tested immutable backups, recovery walls, and restoration procedure. What is immutable backups? uh, I had added a question in the next on a slide. We will learn after this. Then or organization cannot prove the business cyber resilience. So because your GRC team didn't recover the disaster recovery part, backup part, that means the resilience you don't have and it cannot be proven. So auditors recommendation is periodic backup restoration testings, inclusion of the critical backups in the DR drills, evidence documentations of the restore testing, validation of RTO RPO during drills and testing of the cyber recovery procedure. So these are the ideal recommendations as per the security frameworks like ISO. Here's the question number two. Backup logs can be modified by backup administration. Why this is risky? Auditors, sorry, interviewer wants to know what is your opinion if backup administrator have access to modify the backup logs. So, if backup administrator can modify the delete backup logs, it can create major audit and security risk because logs are considered evidence of what actually happened in the backup environment, right? Assume one thing. For every backup, we have a log, right? If someone have access to modify the logs, it may impact the external audit because someone can manipulate the logs. So this is same thing applicable here also. What is the risk involved here? This point, risk involved is unauthorized activities can be hidden, right? Audit trails become unreliable. Third is the security incidents may go undetected because during ransomware attacks or data breaches, altered logs can prevent investigators from identifying the root cause and impact, right? Because if ransomware, you cannot detect the root cause analysis because already somebody has modified the logs, right? M- Means the victim do not want you to go to the root cause. So this is the case. Point number four is compliance violations because standards such as ISO 01, PCI DSS, SOX and RBI guidelines require logs to be protected from unauthorized modifications. Difficulty in forensic investigation as is well. Because if logs are tampered with, organizations may not be able to prove what action were performed because already admin has modified the logs, right? So auditors recommendation is what? Auditors recommendations is enable immutable or write once logs, restrict log modification rights, send logs to a centralized same log servers, enable monitoring and alert for log tampering. If somebody is doing the modifications, then alert alerts flashed towards the email. And I personally recommend if somebody has uh, tampered the backup logs, right, an automatic incident or request created for business justification. So this is my personal recommendation. Separate backup administration and log management duties. Here's the question number three. Organization has implemented immutable backups, but ransomware is still unencrypted some backup copies. What would be you verify as an auditor? So the interviewer actually wants to know, right? Immutable backup is there, right? But somehow ransomware or hackers encrypted the copies, right? What you need to verify as an auditor. So first, let us discuss what is immutable backup because immutable backup here also we discuss somewhere, right? So let's discuss the immutable. So immutable is uh, locking period. Backup data cannot be changed, deleted, or encrypted for a fixed period of time, right? This immutable backup uh, this immutable backup generally adopted by the banking and financial organization because of the critical data. So bank generally immute their backup for 1 year. That means what? 1 year is the fixed time where nobody can change the logs. Nobody can change the or nobody can change the um, nobody can change the tempering of the logs, right? So this is what immutable. This is very effective process, right? Because in some organization it may possible that administrator have access to modify or tamper the backup logs, but if immutable backup is enabled, right, then administration also cannot modify the log. So this is the use of the immutable backup here. So coming to the answers part, uh, okay, coming back to the question actually, what they are asking. See, immutable backup is there, right? Okay. Hackers still able to encrypt some copies of the backup. What you will do? Okay. So here's the number one is right. Was really immutable backup enabled auditors to check whether the settings, configurations, were really enabled, because if a hacker able to encrypt the files, then it's 100% right, 100% true that the immutable backups were not successfully configured. So first, auditors to ensure that whether this uh, immutable backup was configured and enabled successfully, because it may be possible that it is enabled for some of the servers or retention period was too short. It may happen, as I discussed somewhere here, right? Immutable, generally, backup and banking and financial organization enable for at least 1 year. uh, For point number one, what auditors check is they will verify actual backup settings, as I said, right? Auditors to check the settings, configurations and script designed at the backend. Check the retention log period also and confirm which backups copies are immutable. Here's the second control. Did attackers get admin access? If ransomware attacks gained backup admin privileges, they may disable immutability, delete backup jobs, and modify backup settings. So auditors to check, right, whether MFA enabled or not, right, review privilege access logs and verify who has access the backup controls, because hackers got the administration access, right? That means it is the privileged one. So check the access control for the backup copies. This is a third control auditors to check where backup servers connected to the production network or not. If backup environment is not isolated, ransomware can spread easily, right? So for this, auditors to check the network segregation backup, auditors to verify if backup servers are in separate zone and review firewall controls. So as per standard security frameworks, right? Backup servers should not be on the production network. Backup environment is completely a different one from the production one. Number four, was there any air gapped backup? What is mean by air gap? Air gap is isolation, right? Isolation between copies. So air gap backup means backup is isolated or offline, right? Example, you copied your backup in a separate tape library, yes, physical one. That means it is not online, it is offline. You copied that and you kept at a safer place. It is completely offline. So if all backups are online, ransomware can target all copies. So it is a best practice uh, that you should have a air gapped backup, right? Air gap backup should be enabled on daily basis at a certain time, especially for banking and financial sectors. So auditors to verify whether offline air gapped backup exists or not, check backup copy locations. And next is very important, where backup systems are patched against vulnerabilities or not. You know how patching and vulnerabilities are important. So sometimes ransomware attacks happens due to the old vulnerabilities in backup software. So auditors to check The patch management controls records and verify backup software versions and review vulnerabilities scanning reports. This is a control number 6 where restoration test performed or not, right? If something goes wrong, then auditors to check whether um, you know restoring is happening properly with respect to DC to DC copy or DC to DR copy. Here's the question number next. Backup storage utilization reached 90%, but no alert was generated. What risk is here arises? Interviewer wants to know that 95% utilized happens on the server, but no detection, no detective control was there. What should be your action here? So, if backup storage utilized reaches 95% and no preventative alert generated, it indicates a weak monitoring and capacity management control. So, these is a complete indication of the backup failures because it's very, I mean, clear that 95% already, utilization happens, but still no alert. So after 95 reaches to 100%, right, your backup started fails. Backup jobs stop automatically, right? And you still not receive the failures because this is the question actually. That's why either you need to enable at the 95%. Here's also the recommendations also this part, right? Configure alerts at 70%, 80%, or 90%. If you didn't configure um, as a preventative actions, that means you are allowing backups to fail. Second is data loss risk, right? If backup fails, then it's obviously that your data losses may have the higher chances. Third is the retention policies violation. Retention policies means every organization have their own policies as per the security frameworks. So, uh, if if backup is not happening, then there is no question of the retention policies. So it's automatically breached, right? Breach means what? They are directly violating the regulatories, which indicates a very huge penalty, which becomes a loss to the business, loss to the reputation, and loss to the financial also. Next is a recovery point objective impact. Recovery point objective means, right, if backup fails for several days, right, that means you are not recovering, right? Your backup is impacting. So organization may lose the recent business data during the recoveries. Lack of the monitoring, obvious, because 90% fail, no alert was there. Means your monitoring is weak, right? Threshold are not configured properly, and operations team may not know about the storage issue. Honestly, my suggestion is the governance risk and compliance team is not aware about the risk. That is why this question is arising, right? If no alert, then business continuity at risk, obvious. So what auditors should verify here, right? Auditors should verify that alert configuration should be designed, monitor dashboards, capacity planning process, backup failure reports, escalation process, and trend analysis. What are the recommendations? Recommendations are, right, always configure alerts at 70, 80, 90%, monitor storage daily, and perform capacity forecastings, and automate notifications to the backup team. If something modified, if something mishappenings, then automatic notification will reach out to the backup team. So this is about the today's class team. So if you are looking to train yourself in governance, risk, and compliance, then you may join us because we are providing the interview tips. We are providing the interview preparations with governance, risk, and compliances, practical exposures on ISO 27001, on third-party risk management, on SOC 2 SOX, data privacy, PCI DSS, and implementation on the Archer. You can email me on grcdecode@gmail.com, or you can also contact me on 9015997199. Uh, those students who took these classes, they already placed in big reputed organization. So if you want to learn every turning points in audits, right? Every turning points about risk. Uh, we can have a discussion later on, or you can directly email me on grcdecode@gmail, and this is my contact number. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.